And it is money time. Scott Zeron joining us in the Sulky. Welcome, everybody, to Saturday night here at the Big M. Okay, you were on vacation a couple of weeks ago. Where did you go? How hot was it? And did you have fun?
It was Aruba, and we stayed at the Divvy All-Inclusive. And I'll tell you what, from start to finish, every day you wake up, it's 86, 90 degrees. You go to bed at night, and I mean, it's still 80 degrees. It was amazing.
Wow, that sounds pretty rough. Now, you were born in Quebec, but you were raised in Ontario. I hate to stereotype all you Canadians, but hockey's like, you know, your number one sport. Montreal Canadiens or Toronto Maple Leafs? Who do you like?
Oh, it's sad to say that I've developed into loving the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they are absolutely the worst team in the NHL this year.
So now that you're down here, you've been here since we opened the new building. Do you like the Devils or Rangers or any of the local teams? Follow them?
I love going to the Devils games. I go to the Rangers games too. I'm right in between the both of them, but there's some good teams to watch around here.
And the best thing about the Devils game is when Henrik Lundell treats us, right? When he gets us the tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes it even more fun. I've got a serious question for you. Your fellow Canadian harness driver, Anthony McDonald, who's the older and more talkative brother, if you can believe it, of Mark McDonald, once ran for political office. I think it was a few years ago, the Progressive Conservative Party. Did you vote for him?
He wasn't in my district, or else I would have voted for him. I think he has some very good views, and he gets things done.
Now, who's your favorite 3-year-old you're looking forward to driving this year that's coming back? Is there a Colt or a filly, pacer or trotter that you're really excited about?
American Passport, 3-year-old Colt pacer of Alania's and Brittany Farms. He was very good for me last year, and we made a miscue in the Breeders' Crown final, and it was pretty devastating because I felt like it was going to set up for him to win.
And really, Boston Red Rocks is kind of at the top of the class, but it's a well-balanced bunch behind him, and American Passport really improved a lot in a short time.
And he did. I mean, he showed his true colors in Lexington, winning both weeks in a row pretty impressively. So I'm excited to see him come back.
Now, this winter, it's kind of been a stroll through the park for you, a little bit of Yonkers action, Meadowlands on the weekend, but Pocono opens up, I think it's 2 weeks, and then you've got Harrah's Philly opening up the 1st of April. What is Scott Zeron's driving schedule going to look like?
Now that I've started driving Yonkers a lot more, it's made it a little bit of a tough decision to try and balance Chester, Pocono, because when I first got down here, it was just Chester 4 days a week and Pocono the rest, and then Meadowlands on the weekend. So it was much easier. This year is going to be a little tougher. Yonkers is at my doorstep, 15-minute drive away. So I'm hoping I could manage that. Pocono might be only maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but Chester in the afternoons, Meadowlands on the weekends.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be pretty busy. You might have to come to qualifiers just for rest here at the Meadowlands during that streak. Now, we know you're a big workout guy. What is it right now? Insanity, T25, a lot of jogging, a lot of cardio. What are you doing?
I go to the gym. My girlfriend and I work out all the time together, and then we have a trainer that helps us work out too. We kind of do that. When I don't get to go to the gym, I tell you what, the one thing I do is P90X. That one's a tough one. I like that one.
Now, how long before you're going to be ripped like trainer Virgil Morgan? I mean, that guy looks like Charles Atlas, right?
Yeah, who knows?
How do you train 80 horses and work out like that?
It's insane. He's jacked. And his best friend Brian Sears just as jacked.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Well, let's talk about your horses tonight. You've got a lot of live drives, fresh off a Grand Slam last night. So sharpen your pencils, everyone. Here's what Scott has to say. First race, number 2, Exquisite Glide. No finishing pop yet off the layoff.
Yeah, it's surprising that he wasn't that great last week. I mean, he just came back from a layoff, and he was good qualifying. And in his first start back, I got trapped in. I wish I had some room, and I think he would have shook loose to get up for a good piece. So, I don't know the way the trip went last week for him. I wasn't here, but, we'll try and forwardly position him, and I expect him to be right there, top 3.
Second race is the feature. It's the open pace, scratched down to a field of 6. You were named on 3 of the horses. You went with number 2, DeVuto Hanover, your choice over number 7, Rock-Eyed Optimist, who may be the best horse at the track right now. What went into that decision?
Yeah, I booked off the 1-9 shot in there, that's for sure. But, DeVuto's, he's coming back off a layoff. I've had a lot of success driving that horse, and he's come back strong. This is his second start back. I expect to be right close to Rock-Eyed at the end, if not beat him.
And DeVuto Hanover can flat out smoke. I mean, if you cover him up, you were in no man's land last week, and at the wire, you were just flying up the rail with him. He can pace home 25 and change.
Oh, yeah, and that's, what he's done in most of his life. And, if I could forwardly position him when it's only a 6-horse field tonight, he should be right in the hunt.
Moving on to the third race, number 5, Better Memories, a $55,000 sale purchase by Nifty Norman and Company. The horse always seems very green to me, like he doesn't want to go up in between horses and shies from things. Is he learning to be a racehorse?
Yeah, he is a little bit tricky. He doesn't like things right close in front of his face. And last week was just a terrible experience, really. He got stuck behind a horse that, might have had a heart attack. I don't know. But he wiped us out of it. I was 20 lengths back at the half, so, the rest of the race was pretty much a wash. But, I like him. It's short field in there. He has some gate speed that I didn't utilize last week, and hopefully I will this week.
Moving on to the 5th race next. Let's talk about number 3, Sheer Flex. He's back to a winning level, but pretty solid group, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, Smitty told me he's dropping back down a class where he can be competitive. And I don't know the horse, never sat behind him, but he's won in here before. Who says he can't do it again?
Moving on to the 6th race, number 9, Burkentine Hanover. Now, according to my calculations, he paced his back half in 53 and 2, just flying up the inside.
Yeah, and he was impressive. Once again, I never really got to come off the wood there. I just shot him in between horses late, and if you watched him last week, all you would be thinking is, I can't wait to watch him next week to bet on him. Unfortunately, he drew the 9-hole again, and he's just not one that you could push a 26-second quarter and then ask him to come 27 on the end. So, he's going to need a little bit of luck in there, and we'll take a short way there around.
Moving on to the 7th race, you've got number 5, UF Fast Feelin'. He's back in the Mike Russo barn, but this dude, he's kind of shaky. I don't know what in the heck he sees by the half-mile pole, but you can see his ears prick forward. He likes to jump something over there. That has to give you a little thrill.
Yeah, he's not really fun to drive, but last week, he's 4 to 5. I let somebody go, and I wanted to remove around, fully well knowing that he's going to look at everything on the ground. I should have stayed where I was, but I ended up moving him, and he took a leap in the air twice, and it showed how much the best he was in that race to still win park the whole way.
And he's got one of those brush shadow rolls on with the big turn-ups and stuff like that. You would think he'd be hard to see things, but he still finds it.
They find a way. There's no shadows. It's nighttime racing, but he sees tire tracks, just anything like that.
Moving on to the 8th race, number 8, McArdle's Lightning. Textbook drive, last out. You left with him, yielded the favorite, but you kind of had to wait for room. Did he just not get his momentum going in time?
And that's all it was. The outside flow had all the momentum. It might have looked like he had enough time to get up the inside and win the race, but by the time I found room and started him up, they had a 2-length start on me, and I was happy with the way he raced. He's a really a grabby horse sometimes, and I kind of don't want to push him out of there hard because he's going to have to go a big clip for the front, but we'll see the way the night's going, because sometimes these horses will force you to want to leave with something.
Now, it's funny because people overrate or underrate how important momentum is. When you have to stop a horse or even check him, it takes a while to get going again, and they're not push button. You're much better off with just a steady flow and be able to accelerate when you want than stop and go.
Yeah, just because a horse shows that he could leave 25 seconds off the gate, I'll tell you what, a lot of the horses that can leave the gate, when you try to move them again in the race, they just don't have a quick turn of speed. And, the big horses especially, when you try and start them up, they can't turn speed like maybe a small horse would.
Moving on to the 9th race, number 6, Art History. Did the dirty work last week. Looks like you have to drive him every step of the mile to get him to go. I thought he was beaten, then he kind of re-rallied when the horse came up outside him.
Yeah, and the second you stop pushing him, he just thinks, okay, the race is over. You really got to stay on top of him the whole mile, and he's in fairly cheap, and I have a lot of respect for this horse. So I don't want to say I can't see him getting beat in here, but maybe a bad drive will get him beat. I don't know.
Well, if this was Siskel and Ebert, we'd be saying 2 thumbs up there for Art History. 10th race, the 1, Hope for Badlands, kind of fits your style. He likes to just roll in the weight rate and rally, but he's been sick. Will he be okay?
Yeah, I spoke with Mark already about him, and he said he scratched him last week, but don't worry, I had a few choices in this race, and I decided to stick with him. Like you said, he is kind of the type where you don't want to use him too hard early, and I've won a few times with him just coming off the pace, so I got the rail. Hopefully I can get in that second over position.
Well, enjoy that rail because you've got some outside posts, including the 11th race. Number 10, Boogie Woogie Brian, seems to be improving, but stuck outside again.
I know, and he's a horse that can leave 26 flat and make front and then relax for you, but he just will not finish that last eighth of a mile. So with the 10 hole, I would have to go 26 seconds, and I know what would happen. He'd finish a tired 4th and 5th. Like I said, it's going to depend on how the night's going for me. If I'm a little frustrated, I can imagine myself leaving with him, but we will see.
12th race, number 2, Rock Out. You would think he'd win. His form's pretty good, but he's 2 for 26. He loses a lot of races by a head, by a neck, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Steve Elliott always says if this horse ever tried, he can go 47, 46. He's big, he's strong. He never seems to actually get tired, but sometimes he just doesn't put forth that strong effort. And that's kind of what he did for me last week.
No wind tonight. It's mid-30s, pretty pleasant night. Fair racetrack, or do you feel like you have to be more toward the front or more from off the pace, or do you just have to wait and see how things work out?
You know, you really got to watch the first few races. You know, when I feel like when there's a headwind, just the front end just holds up so much better. And then, you know, if it'll just push them tailwind down the lane, you'll see a lot of those second over, third over horses getting up at the wire. So, you know, we'll see. No wind tonight. Who knows how that's going to play?
Well, you are my overwhelming favorite for driver of the week. Grand Slam last night. I see maybe 4, 5, 6 wins tonight. So I think you're going to have the FinTech gift card to buy some new blue goggles or whatever you wear out there. So I think you're in for a very good weekend. Scott Zeron, thanks for joining us. Good luck out there tonight. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sam.
Scott Zeron in the Sulky. Let's take a quick time out. Jen Bongiorno and I will tee up tonight's racing action.